Y'all get ready for some nostalgic Halloween. I'm Brandy, and this is Making It My Own DIYs. Welcome back. The first project is going to be a block sitter. I've got a little bit of felt that I'm going to be using. I have some of these little beaded picks from Dollar Tree. This is a little pumpkin that came off a string of lights. Some big buttons that I thrifted. Some little bows. These were actually in Christmas stuff. And a cupcake paper. These are just the little liners and, any style you like. I like this print. And my beautiful little Temu ornaments. I love getting these from Temu. Look at all these precious children, ready for trick and treats. And then this gives you an idea of what they all look like. I've got some little ornaments and some of this foam table scatter we can use. And these blocks that I thrifted. So we can do treats, we can do trick, or we can do tricks. And I just thought, let's do tricks because they're little kids, right? It'll be fun. So I'm going to use my sponge brush. I've got some Kelly green paint because it's almost the same color as his little trousers. Some black chalk paint, and I'm also going to use some white. I want to get these blocks to be a little more on the Halloween coloration side. But, Halloween has lots of different fun colors, so you could leave your blocks alone. You could also just buy wooden blocks and maybe just stamp or use stickers to put the letters on. That would make it really easy for you. I like the size of these and the weight of them, so I think they're going to work great for this. I'm just pouncing on, I think I put 2 layers on of each one on each one of these blocks. Yeah, let it dry in between. Now you can see here I'm making a mess. It's fairly shallow, and there's some wood that is in between that square on the outside and the letter on the inside. So that has to be cleaned up, but I'll give you a couple of options when we get to that point. So just stay tuned for that. We're going to get it cleaned up. We won't leave it looking too silly. And then I've got some black here that I'm going to dot on. And I really make a mess with this one because I was kind of rushing through this. You know how it is. Kids are hungry. You got to go fix something. It's summertime, y'all. It's summertime. So I'm just going to dot this on just like I did the other ones and make sure that I got my square and my letter the same color. This is like a sanding tool or a sanding pick that I got from Temu. So if you needed to, you could use a little sanding tool here to get that cleaned up. You could use an emery board to clean it up. You could use, there's just a bunch of ways you could take that paint off. You could use fingernail polish remover, possibly. Whichever trick you like, you go ahead and do. But since I had a paint color that was very, very similar to the wood already on the block, I just decided to make my life a little easier. Put on my spectacles, take a small brush, and just get on in there. And this, because the color is so similar, it's just almost going to erase it. So I'll start off closest to the letter and kind of pull the color away from it so that I don't have it messy anywhere. And then I'll spread the paint out a little bit. And instead of just going over where the black is, I'll color the entire inside of that block so it's exactly the same color. Again, you don't have to do this if you don't have this type of block that you're using, but I want to let you know in case you do. This is the process that I used. Real quick, I want to say thank you for stopping by and visiting my channel, whatever brought you here. If you came because I popped up in your recommendations or somebody shared my video or mentioned me in a video, I appreciate your time and that you're here with me today. And yes, it is summertime and I am doing Halloween because it's Juneween, right? Yeah, June's almost over and I'm loving it. Plus, on my community post, everybody voted for Halloween and fall, so we'll be going straight into that as well. Now that all these are dry and my perfect colors that I like, for my choice, of course, use what you like to make it your own. I'm going to go ahead and use some glue and then some hot glue to put these pieces together. I used a little bit too much of that other glue. Why the name of it is escaping my brain right now. I'm just going to clean that up because you can clean it with water. So I'll clean it up with a Q-tip and then use a damp baby wipe to just clean that off. Then I'll add a little bit more, this time of course trying to use a little bit less. And I'll use some more glue here. You can always just use hot glue if that's your preference, or you can use super glue, or you can use wood glue, whatever you want to use. If you are ready for fall and Halloween, please subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell because you don't want to miss anything that's coming. So much vintage Halloween on this channel and dark and moody. Oh, there's so much. I've got so many ideas, y'all. I don't want you to miss anything. Once they're glued together, I'm going to use felt on my top and on the bottom, but you could always just go over it with a coat of black paint or, really any color paint that you like. Probably dark would be best if you're using these blocks because that's almost like it's cut into the blocks. It's like engraved, the little figures are. So, if you use something light, you're probably still going to see it. But the felt gives me a great surface to glue onto because we're going to do some pretty things on the top. We're going to put things on here and I want to be sure that everything sticks and nothing pops off. You never know when you pick something up to dust it off or to move it, if you bump it and then it knocks everything loose. You don't want that to happen. I've simply cut a strip down for the top and of course we'll do the bottom as well. A little bit of glue and then I'll put a little glue on the end and lay it flat. Kind of tug it just a little bit to make sure it's nice and flat and then trim off any of the excess. Because it's that felt fabric, it will stretch a little bit when you pull it. So I'm just going to trim that down, make it nice and neat. And I really like the look of that. Very much. Okay, here we are doing the other side. Same process. And then once it's ready, this is how it's going to look so far. Don't worry, you can paint the back completely black. I'm going to do the ends in black as well. Very, very easy to do. You could use a marker for this if you want, or you can continue your felt all the way around, patch it together. There's so many ways to do things, right? It doesn't mean because I do it this way that I do it wrong if you do it differently. This is just my way to do it. Then we're going to make sure that everything is dry. Now, these little trees come from Dollar Tree. They're little Halloween trees. I am going to just cut these pieces off. And y'all, these products that you see me using today on this video, they are things that I have had for a while. Now, not the stuff from Temu, but the stuff from Dollar Tree is from last year, okay? So I have this little LED light. It's got kind of a white light. You twist it on and off, and they actually float. So you could use them like in water for whatever reason you would want to do that. I'm going to paint it with my orange or my pumpkin chalk paint, and I'm also going to paint this pumpkin with the orange too because it just looks very plasticky and it's not going to fit into that aged look that I'm going for. You have to have a pumpkin that's going to open so you can put your candle on the inside, right? Okay, so I'm going to go over this with 2 coats of paint. This is not going to glue the seams together. It just made it easier for me to paint this way. It won't glue the sides together. It's going to pop off fine. We'll let this dry, and I want my white light to be a warmer color. So all you have to do is take a yellow paint that you like. This one, I believe, is Dandelion, I think is the name of it. Or Daffodil, something like that. It's a slightly warm yellow. So I'm using that as the flame for my candle, and there was already a little bit of orange. I put these little blocks on the back, which I painted green. And this is going to be our supports so that they will stand. These are the 3 little ornaments that I've chosen. I know that I want the boy and girl together to be at a party. And I like the idea of a trick-or-treaters being out together and, looking and searching for their goodies. So I'm going to make this pick, which I have just twisted together, and I'll show you in a minute how to do that, to make it look like he's got balloons. Yeah. Okay, so here's our pumpkin, and I did add brown on the top. And it's completely the look that I was going for. The light is going to be a great warm light. Look at that. Look at that. I love it. Hi, kitty. So nutmeg brown is what I used on the top. 2 coats of that. And I let that dry. I'm going to use my antiquing wax and a small brush. And this is not a stenciling brush, but it's pretty coarse so that I can push the wax down in all the depressed areas. So all the little nooks and crannies. See that? Don't worry, you're going to see it be a little bit heavy in the beginning, but it gets blended out, so don't worry about that. So if you do that and you get kind of a mess on there, just keep working with it, keep blending it, and you're going to get a good look. So this is easy to do. You could possibly do this with a baby wipe if you wanted to do it with a baby wipe. But the idea is not to make an even stripe. It's to make shadows and depressions to make it stand out. And like I said, give it more of an aged look. You could also use like a satin color paint, but I've found that chalk paint really sticks well to a plastic surface. Now I'm rounding the bottoms. You see how I'm kind of bringing it over on the bottoms to make each of these little bumps on the pumpkin stand out and look rounded. And look at him. He looks like he's been cut and sitting on the porch a while, doesn't he? I got my little sponge finger dauber here, and I'm going to go around the edge of my ornaments. So if you prefer not to shop with Temu, you could probably find something like this on Amazon, or you can get the little ornaments at Dollar Tree in the packs of several and just use a marker and draw your own things on there, or you could decoupage on them to make your own little pictures, right? Definitely. So I'm just going around the edges of it where it's got a little more of a lighter color to give it a little more shading, because we have that on our pumpkin too. And for me, I like to be consistent. I'm not painting the inside because the shininess on the inside is going to help reflect the light that we put in there, and it's going to make it glow so much better. All right, I'll peel the backing off. This is just a little twist light, easy enough to do. And then it'll sit on the ridges on the bottom. All right, now we get to play around and put these in the position that we like. Put my trick-or-treaters on one side and my little party goers on the other side. You know, play around with it before you actually put the glue. Now I've got them looking toward each other like they're, you know, walking down the road together, and they're talking and having a good time. Nobody's saying, I got a rock. Y'all know where that's from, don't you? Who got the rock? Do y'all remember who got the rock? Okay, now we're going to stand these up together. They're out, and perhaps they're siblings or best friends, and they're having a good time together. Walking on to the next spooky house for a treat. Then we'll put our little party goers over here on this side. And we're really creating 2 different sceneries on the little piece here. Now I'm trying to basically line the pumpkin up so that it's far enough back that I can still put the front on, and that it's kind of in between the I and the C, since that's the middle of the word. Just my preference, y'all. And you can take the top off, put the light on. It's just easy. Now here are the pieces that we cut off of that tree. I'm just going to make another tree, but I'm going to do it smaller. Now we won't use all of it on the tree. I'm just going to pick a few and just make a couple of little sparse branches, so it kind of looks like the kids are walking outside. You could use maybe one of those little Halloween trees, the bottle brush trees that you get from Walmart. That would be very cute. But I don't have my Halloween decorations out yet, so I'm trying to use what I do have pulled out. And I can show you that you got options when you're making things for your crafts, right? When you're making your little fun creations. Now I have a tree. It's not too big. It's not going to be too heavy so that it will stand up. And I know that I want it to go back here. And another great point of having those blocks behind those little fellas is that it's going to give you a little more support. You can glue on the bottom and on the side to help hold it in place. Then you can also add touches of glue behind the ornaments to hold the tree up if you have a problem with your tree. So I fanned out my paper. I'm going to fold it just a little, probably a fourth of it I've folded upward, and make a little curved area. This is going to be the dance floor where our little sweet couple over there are at the party. Since I have some more of this branch, I'm going to use that as the base of this to help keep its form and to have something to glue it down onto the felt. A little bit of glue. And these papers are waxed, so when you use a waxed paper, you really need a little something else to help hold your project because, you know, the wax will have a tendency to repel the glue and you might have things popping off and you don't want that. So I am going to be putting the glue on the little branch part instead to hold it in place. And then you can grab some more blocks and you can use the blocks in any place you need support as well. So far, this is what we have. We're going to keep going, of course. Now, of course, you got to have balloons, right? You've got to have balloons at a Halloween party. So, just like when you see, I think when you think about prom and they have balloons on the floor and they fall from the ceiling, well, here are some balloons that have fallen from the ceiling down with our little party goers, and they're having so much fun. And I've just used the little mini ornaments that I like. And then I thought, okay, well, let's do some more green here. So I've got a branch or a stem where I had some florals that I cut off, and I saved these because they're really good for other purposes. I'm going to start off by just adding 3, 2 green and 1 black. And you can get little ornaments at Dollar Tree too. But I get so much of it when I'm thrifting because people just have random amounts and they throw them in there and I just pick them up. They don't cost much, you know. I'm just going to use my side cutting pliers here to just bend that up so it gives it a little foot that's easier to glue in place. And now I'm going to add an orange little balloon, and I will be adding another one in a moment, but we're going to wrap that all up with some of this just to give it some more oomph, you know, a little more pizzazz. It's this party. It's Halloween. It's a celebration. Everybody's having fun and everybody is in the spooky mood. So I want to make everything fun and attractive and vibrant, right? And I could have just wrapped the entire thing if I wanted to with this, or I could have used it as the base. Either way, it's fine. Adding some glue to the block and beside the block and placing that little foot that I made right down in there. Now, you don't see me holding it in place as long as I do with each of these pieces, but I do hold them for a while until the glue begins to cool, because when it is cool, it has set up. Somebody made a point to tell me that hot glue doesn't dry, it cools. Whatever. Okay, to each his own, right? So this is how it is looking so far. And I think this is good. I'm satisfied completely with this, and I love it so much, y'all. Look, I turned the little light on so y'all could see the little pumpkin lit up in the middle. Is this not the cutest, most festive little thing? I made something last year with 3 blocks that says boo, and it was so much fun to make. It's definitely different than this, but it is with blocks and some little ornaments. So yeah, these are fun to make for me. I love working with the little miniatures like this. And of course, I hope that you like it too. The next is a treat bag. So here's the little treat bag I was talking about. It's a little metal jack-o'-lantern bag. We're going to use that pumpkin chalk paint, some Spanish moss paint, flowers that I don't actually end up keeping in the final project, some little doohickeys, little decorative anything, pinwheels, whatever you got that's cute and small that would look festive, some more of these little picks, These are just little pieces of wood. You can cut a ruler, whatever you need for yours. Here's some smaller pieces. Here's another ornament we're going to use, and a little bow that we're going to use for him. I'm going to paint all of these pieces orange. Why am I using these? This is because we need a lid to put all of our decor on for our pumpkin, because we're going to have a light in the bottom, so we have to make sure that it's not sitting on top of the light so we can turn it on and off. I'll use my little jewelry pliers here to remove the wire. It is clean, of course, already, but if you get something thrifted, be sure you clean it. I do cut those little berries off later. I'm going to use some of this hunter green for the stem, and then I'll use some rustic orange for the pumpkin. And I'll take them outside and let them dry. So this is what I'm going to do here. This is not necessary if you have something in yours already. But for me, I need to have a little top, something that is a platform between the light section and the decor on the top. So this is how you do that. These were thrifted. You can see they're part of a little, I guess, mathematics set for kids. But you never know when you can use these things, y'all. So now I have the little platform and the little side. I went ahead and used my pliers and cut off the orange and white bow that the cat had on because I want to put a fabric bow. Oh, isn't he going to be cute? I'm going to take the little scissors here and just trim that off smaller. I want those tails to be about the same width as my bow loops, just my preference. You could certainly have one that has tails hanging all the way down if you want. I'm sure a kitty cat would love playing with the little tails hanging down. I'll add just a little glue there and pop that bow on where his collar is. Cute, cute, cute. Where are my black kitty fans? So now this has to be able to stay on the top. These little pieces are going to be the, I don't know if you would call them a cleat or a side support to hold the piece up. I'm using Gorilla Glue here. Super glue would work the best, some type of a long-term hold, but this is going to work for me to show you how to do it. I put the top on so I would know how far to put this down. All this really needs to do is keep the lid from collapsing onto the inside of it. And just like that. It works. You can see there, now I have a top. Doesn't need to fit perfectly, it just needs to be that divider. So I've got another brush, and I am going to pounce on some of that color on top of this darker green. You can leave your ivy dark green if you want to, but I was more along the lines of thinking that I wanted these to be leaves, not ivy. So I'm lightening them up, and I am also going to be giving them some dimension with a little of that orange paint so that they look like fall leaves. You could certainly use, if you have like a little container that you're using, like a little jack-o'-lantern, a little pumpkin, you could get some wine. Well, you could do that too while you're crafting. You can get some of that metal line or the like the wire that you put around it, and then put your own swirly top on yours. You could make something different if you don't have the same thing, because most likely we don't when they're thrifted pieces, right? But y'all know, oh my goodness, y'all are learning so much. So much. I hear so many people say, you know, that they've done it or they've copied a project, but they've done something different with it. And that's the idea. Always make it your own. And look, I'm very thrifty. I know you see me with a lot of projects and a lot of new products all the time, but that's because my channel is a business. I definitely do not expect any of y'all to spend the money on crafting and keep everything you make. That's not what I do. And I don't want you to feel the pressure to have to do that either. Just take something, take what you have, make it your own, right? It's going to be perfect. It's going to be perfect, y'all. Now we need to make some fun pics to go on there. You can add a little bit of something on the back to hold it in place if you need to. I'm just making some things that almost look like suckers because the bag looks like a treat bag. So I'm thinking, okay, well, we'll make some things that kind of resemble candy. Now, once that is dried, you see me going over with another brush. This is a little flat brush, and I'm just going around each of the tips of the leaf And then I'll just kind of swipe it down the middle. And you can go over the veining if you want to. However you want to do your piece is totally fine. I have not been to Dollar Tree in so long, and I am very excited for them to put out some new Halloween and fall decor. I cannot wait to go and at least just browse, because goodness knows I got plenty of stuff in here right now, but to browse and check everything out, I cannot wait. What about y'all? Or have y'all seen anything in y'all's Dollar Tree stores? I know a lot of the bigger stores definitely have their stuff out, but it's kind of a mixed bag with Dollar Tree in different states. So I'm just wondering if you've seen any out yet. I'd love to know. Now you know me. I've got to age it up. I've got to get that wax and really give it some age. So I'm going around the places where this would rust and just pouncing it on there. This is like a stencil type brush, and it came from Dollar Tree. It sure did. It's been a while now since I got it, but it works good for these types of projects. It's really good for kind of using it for aging. Now once I lay the paint or the wax down, I can blend it out by just flicking that brush back and forth, and that helps kind of fade it, and it takes the sharpness out of it. Gives it a nice aged look. See that? So much better. But we need to be sure that we go around the rest of the face very lightly. Very, very lightly. I love it. I love it already. When the layers of paint have dried on the leaves and vines here, I'm going to go over that with a little too, because we want to be consistent. I'm going to cut those berries off because I don't need them for this project. I'm going to add something of my own. Then I'm going to reattach the handle that goes across the top. And I made sure that I didn't glue those little wood tabs in the way of those holes. They should be under there instead of on top. Underneath, so nothing's in the way. And then just to show you that everything still fits together just fine. There we go. Fits fine. You'll want to be sure that when you put your pieces on top of your project, that you don't put too much that's going to expand outside of the borders of the top that you've created, because if you do, it's going to be difficult to remove and replace the top once you have things on it. So just kind of be cautious and mindful of your spacing. Now I'm going to use little blocks here, and y'all, the little wood blocks that I use for support, they come from Dollar Tree in the Crafter Square section. Okay, I'm going to add my glue here. I could paint these black, but again, y'all know when I get going with the craft, I'm just going with the flow. You can fix that later, or we can cover it up. We're just going to keep going until I figure out how I want them to look. Now, I guess I could poke things down in the side instead of gluing it, but no, I'm going to glue it because I want it to be sure it stays in place. So I'm just going to bend this piece in half. These picks that I have added on here are actually floral stems that come in a bag, and they're almost have like a papery outside, so it clings to the glue pretty well. Now going on the side of that block, I can add my little sucker. I wonder what flavor this would be with the bow on it. Would that be a black licorice sucker? Black cherry maybe? Who knows? And then this one, and I will add it against one of the blocks too. That way I've got some good support for it. Just making sure that my height is correct. I want a bunch of different levels. I want some low, some high, everything to get a little bit of attention without obscuring anything else. I'm just really not loving the flower. That's why I didn't show y'all how I put it in there. It is just too big for the piece, so I'm going to take that off. Don't worry, don't worry. I'll take a little bit of this orange twine, and I'm just going to wrap it around. The twine is going to help me out because instead of sticking metal to metal, I can actually put the fabric against, look how what a mess I made. I can actually put the fabric against the metal to help hold it in place. I'll just wrap, and then glue it, and then press it down. And you can also, I could also actually have tucked it inside of the little spiral that's going around that's supposed to be the vine. And I actually do that on the other side. So I used a black and two oranges on one side and an orange and two black on the other side. And you can see just how I've twisted it together with one stem. I wrapped it as well. I'm going to feed it through the stem, prop it up there, and then add a little bit of glue to hold that one in place. And these look like little pieces to me of like bubble gum, orange and black bubble gum. So now I'm fluffing out these little branches, and I'm going to use that like a tinsel. And I'm going to wrap it all around where I took the time to paint. Yeah, I'm going to wrap it all around. You know how it is when you start on a project and you're not really sure. You have an idea, but the details are not there yet. That's how it is with me a lot of times. So you see me put stuff on and take stuff off. That's what I'll be doing here, because I had to have this on there. I just needed it on there. And the flower just looks redonkulous. So she's going bye-bye. We're 86 in the polka dot flower. Although she will be in another project, so I do like it. Just not here. I'm going to use a little bit. I just folded it so that it would fit. Again, we don't want anything extending too far out because it will interfere with us trying to put the lid back on. Then you can cut these again to get the pieces you want, make little circles, whatever, to make it fluffy. And then I'll add enough to cover that. We're going to put something right there in the back. In the front, rather. These are little bells that I got from Temu. Here's that information. I'm going to cut the top off of one of those ornaments to make a flat bottom. And then we will attach that bell as like a top, and the ornament will be the bottom part that we glue down. I'm going to add some glue. I'm going to add the ornament. I was trying to decide which end is going to be flatter to stand up. So I just went ahead and used it this way. If you hold it long enough, it's going to set up and do fine. But you can use super glue if you want it to be long term. Now here I go with my matchy-matchy. I've got to paint him because he's a different color orange, which is a beautiful orange, but he's not jiving with my other oranges. So personal preference, I'm just going to fix it. So now his whole body is the same color. He can be aged as well, but I didn't even bother aging him because I kind of want him to look like he's candy. I kind of wanted it to look like candy, like maybe, you know how at Easter you get the little bunnies? So I thought, a little pumpkin man would be cool, like chocolate, a little pumpkin man. And look how his little mouth is askew. He's not even totally straight there. Then I added a little black bow to him. Cute, cute. He needs a hat. So guess what I got? I had to throw my rustic in there, right? An acorn. This is an acorn top, and I made him a little hat. I could definitely have painted it, but wait, that's not all. We're going to add a little ball to the top. He's going to be super cute with his little sparkly orange poof pom-pom ball on top of his hat. Look at that. Suddenly, he's a French pumpkin candy. Taking the flower out. Yep. Definitely taking that flower out. And because those little leaves are on wire, I can move those around so that they can be seen. And that's what I did. I kind of repositioned them a little bit. I'm going to show you that I got my lid on. Now I can decide what I want to do to make sure I still have the right spacing to get the lid on and off. I decided to go ahead and add some more of those little pieces. Oh my goodness. These are so cute. I don't know why these types of little projects make my heart so happy. They really do. They make me so happy. So I've turned it around. I'm on the back end of it, and I'm going to put something low, but something that will fill in space. So I'm taking another ornament, a little bunch of black and white. It's actually like what you put in a gift, a little shredded papers. Add a couple of little more things in the back that are low so I can move it back and forth. Just another little sparkly pom-pom. And y'all look at it all lit up. Oh, my heart. Oh my goodness. I love this. I love it so much. And I love that I didn't completely coat it down with the chalk paint. You know, I pounced it around so you can still see some brightness in there. You can see the difference in the color. It's very subtle, but he looks so darn cute. And you know what? I know that if you do this project, yours is going to be equally as wonderful or even better than mine. Thank you to all of my channel members. The money that I receive from you helps my channel. It goes straight back in my channel. Pumpkin sign is the next. So I've got a variety of brushes here. I'm not going to use these foam ones. I'm going to be using the other ones. Got that same pumpkin chalk paint. Same Spanish moss green. And then I have my antiquing wax as well, of course. This is a thrifted pumpkin sign that I got. Love the features of it. Love that it looks like wood. It's actually MDF, as you can see here on the back. But I think I can change it to fit my own decor a little better. So I'm going to fight with this wire that's twisted on the back until I get it straight enough I can pull it back through that hole. That's right, you see the struggle, and I've got it sped up. Still fighting with it. And it continues to go. And we're going, and we're through. Okay, so I'm going to put that aside. I'm going to fold the little leaf back because it actually does not need to be there. I'm going to get it out of the way because I don't want to accidentally make it orange. And I'm going to take that chalk paint and go all over this entire thing. It's actually cut, or it almost looks like corrugated on the sides. Not the top piece, but the side pieces, they look corrugated. So I'm just trying to get down in all those little cracks. But it does give an interesting texture, which I will not fully try to cover up or mask. Don't need to go around your edges. You don't have to. I'm going to dry that completely. Always dry them between the layers. You can use a hairdryer here if you want. And then I'm going to go over the stem, which was already green, but I am going to go over it and make it a darker green. I'm going to take my rich black and go over all of those places on the inside where I got a little bit of orange paint or green paint, depending on where you're painting. This black just acts like an eraser, just like we did with the first project. We used that brown that was similar to the color of the wood to erase, finger quotations, to erase the problem, right? So that's what I'm doing here too. And look how crisp that looks. It's definitely looking a little more like my preferred way to decorate. I'm going to fold that leaf back up, and I'm going to color him the green color too. If y'all have not heard about the Crafty Cruise Getaway, you need to check the information in the description box below. We have such a good time, and Sammy is going to be with us in February 2025 on the cruise to teach a special class, so be sure you sign up quickly. Okay, so now I'm going to dry, make sure everything is dry, and we're going to age the leaf just like we did on the previous project. We're going to go around here and make this look like a fall leaf by just touching the tips with some of that orange paint, kind of blending it down the veining. I'm just using the little pieces of the brush, the fibers, to kind of get down in those spaces, and I'm just very lightly brushing that. I don't want it to be muddy. You can use a fabric leaf for this. I could actually even glue a fabric leaf on there if I wanted to. Now I got some brown paint, and I'm going to go over this same brown that we used before. I'm going to go over the stem, and then I'm going to brush it over the leaf, kind of blend it. It also will tone down slightly the orange, wherever you put this at. And then dry that. You see a lot of drying, right? Now I'm going to get my chippy brush and my antiquing wax, and I am going to get my little leaf out of the way. and start going around the edges. We're going to work from the edges onto the inside. I start with a very light technique and then build it up. I build it up a little bit at a time. And to save time, I won't be leaving in every minute of me doing this, but just notice in between each new screen the way that it has been built up, okay? Speeding it up here. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. And then underneath the bottom of it, so that things are as close to matchy-matchy as the other side. Close to being mirrored. Any edging, you need to go over it with your wax, and the side between the top and the bottom layer also go there. You can see how much the top stands out with that wax around the edges. Now on a damp baby wipe, I'm going to grab some of that wax, rub it in a little bit, and I'll go down each of the little, somebody told me what these were called on a pumpkin, and I don't remember from last year, but each of these little areas on the pumpkin. I'm going to go around the low spots and each little part that has an indentation in it and go over it with the wax, building it up a little at a time. Keep in mind, it will smear if you're not careful when you are using wax on something wet. Now see, I wanted one more down the middle, so I made another division in the front. I'm curving out the bottom so it actually looks like it has that dimension. And then taking a smaller brush, I'm going to go right down in the center with a little bit of that wax, right in the center of those depressions. And then I'll use the big brush again to kind of fan that out and blend it all together. I'm also going around all of the features, the eyes, the nose, the mouth, the little dimples. All of that is going to get a little bit of that wax brushing outward, and then be sure that you kind of blend it. You can see the difference already from the left and the right eye. And I'll get up here and I'll work a little bit on that stem. And then also can go over that leaf. How many times have you seen a pumpkin type sign in Dollar Tree or Dollar General or any store and you think, oh, those colors, I can't do that, it doesn't match what I got? You know, a paint goes a long way. And really, some people say, I'm not paying $8 for a small bottle of paint. Some of my paints I've had forever. I've had to add water to them to keep using them. So my $8 has gone a long way, especially with chalk paint, because it really goes a long way. When it is dry, I can reapply the pieces, and I added a little duct tape on the back just to make sure it doesn't scratch anything on the wall or any door where I might want to hang it. We're not going to add bows. We're not going to add any of that on there. I'm going to adjust my wire so it doesn't drive me nuts because, you know. And then because this is on a spring and on wire, it can be adjusted any way that you like. And this is what they look like together. So there's the pumpkin in the middle, the one we just did, and then we have the beautiful two pieces that are beside it. So we had 3 projects. I wanted to do 5 in this video, but it was so in-depth that I'm going to have to put the other 2 off for another video. So be sure that you subscribe. You can hit that little circle right there to subscribe, or hit the rectangle for more. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you soon. Bye.